Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Skitch on Wheels here. Today we're going to look at my 2022 Royal Enfield Himalayan. It's got about 2,000 miles on it. 200 of those miles have been off-road. It's taken a little bit of a beating here recently. I'm worried about the nuts and the bolts and if they remain tight or not. I don't want anything falling off this bike, especially when I'm out, hundreds of miles away from home. Right now, though, let's go through every nut and bolt and see what's tight and see what's loose. So I'm going to start at the front of the bike, move my way backwards. So the front axle nut's a 24 millimeter. I don't have a socket that big. I do have this wrench. I'm just going to crank on it, to be honest with you, and make sure that it's tight. Oh, and it is. Since I have it out, let's go ahead and crank on the back one.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's tight too. So I just went around and tightened all of the spokes in the front wheel with a 1/4 inch wrench. It's probably metric, 1/4 inch works well. And yeah, there were several that were loose. So these front fender bolts here were just a little bit loose. The headlight to frame assembly takes a number 5 Allen wrench. Tight. Tight. The front fork brace takes a number 6 Allen wrench. So no give in these at all, they were tight. So I'm going to use a mix here of what I would call standard sizes and metric, since I don't have all the tools that I need specifically to metric. But this is a 5/32 right here. And that is loose. So here's one of the biggest issues I've found is these bolts here. I've lost a couple of the nuts on the back on those. I've used this to put in my SRC mount up here, but you can see a lot of give in here. So I just need to tighten those up. I need to put some extra bolts on there. The ones that do have the rubber grommet bolts on the back, I'm going to tighten. And this is a 3 millimeter. So this one right back here is missing. This one's tight. You can see when I move that, that's loose. So I was able to find what I needed on the other side. I had a 3 millimeter bolt, and we're good now. It's always going to have a little bit of play just because of the rubber grommets. So let's move on to the SRC grab bar. That's tight. And that's tight. So the top fork bracket, again, it's a 6 millimeter. That's tight. Not every tool will do the job. Sometimes you need something different. This little L wrench comes in handy. Same with bark buster hand protectors. These things have been great. They installed easy. That's tight. And we're good there. These handlebar mounts, again, another 6 millimeter Allen's wrench. These I'm a little concerned about because I've taken these bars off before, tried to put a riser in here, couldn't get it done. So I really want to make sure these are tight. Yeah, those are good and tight. So this front fork axle, this is the biggest thing I've got, and it just fits in there. So we'll crank on that a little bit. No, it's not going anywhere. Move on to some of the smaller ones here. That one's a little loose. That's a little loose. That's a little loose. That was a little loose. Yeah, so these, kind of the first thing I found that are a little bit loose. This little ring here on top of the tank, the fuel tank. Yeah, those are something to check. So I finished checking everything basically from the handlebars forward. Everything seemed good. The spokes were just, a couple of them were loose. These little bolts around the gas cap here, that mounting ring, they were a little bit loose. Obviously the windshield, you saw me fix that. That just takes a lot of vibration, a lot of abuse. So let's move to the middle of the bike. Moving on to some more important bolts here. This is a 12 millimeter here. Okay, we're loose there. Yeah, those are tight. So I believe the reason that they have some flex in them is because that's an engine mount that vibrates. So yeah, they are supposed to be a little bit loose, but as far as the nuts and the bolts, those things are tight. They're not going anywhere. This motor mount bolt here, it's too long though. I can't get a 17 on there, so we're gonna just go in from the side here with a wrench. Nothing given on that side. The reason I went at that other side from that angle, this does not give. I'm not going to be able to get it. I'm not going to be able to get a socket on that. That's just too tight in there. I don't want to bend or break anything. So that's why I went with a wrench on this, but it's good and tight. Got a 17 millimeter bolt here. Yep, not going anywhere. These small bolts here, they're all 8 millimeter. So these all were a little bit loose through here. I can't find torque specs for them. I'm not cranking on them. I'm just going to tighten them up just a hair. Side panels, they always come loose. I've had them off and on anyway because I've added some power under here for heated gear. These take a 4. I couldn't find one. It's really close though to a 5/32. As long as you don't crank too hard. A little turn here and there. A couple of them loose. So the kickstand is always a concern. It needs to move a little bit. I did find it very difficult to get in here and get this tight. There's just not a good way, but it fit in a little bit. And I did end up adjusting that. That was a little bit loose. Moving back up here, we got the skid plate. This is a 10 millimeter. Yeah, that one's a little loose there. Might be hard to see, but I've got another skid plate down here. That's pretty tight. Sticking with the 10 millimeter, we got about a half turn, quarter turn on each of those. The shield's on the exhaust. That one's maybe a half turn. So those were definitely loose. Can't get to this one with the socket, but I do have a 10 millimeter wrench. Same with that. Yeah, we're loose here. So while we're here with the 10 millimeter, let's go ahead and check this cooler here. Yeah, that's a good quarter turn there. Same here. Same with this SRC brake master cylinder guard. Takes a 5 millimeter. Yeah, those are good. So the exhaust is looking a little bit corroded up here. It's a 12 millimeter. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. And there's the other one. So moving around to the back, everything to do with the chain guard. Tight there. Tight there. A little bit there maybe. Tight there. Move back to the rear sprocket. It's hot out here. You can probably hear me grunting and breathing heavy. It's a little bit dirty under here. The attachment for the rear monoshock, it's a 14 millimeter. Yeah, everything's tight there. All right, we got the fender mount here. Another 6 millimeter. Tight. Tight. Frame. Tight. Really hot day in East Tennessee today, 90 degrees, but I needed to do this. 2,000 miles on this bike. I hadn't checked what was tight and what was loose. To my surprise, this bike impresses me again. 95% of everything was tightened. Didn't use the torque wrench at all. That's my own personal preference. You do what you need to do. I was pleasantly surprised with this bike again, is how well it's held together. There are a few things that were loose. This little cap up here was loose a bit. The windshield obviously was loose because of a missing bolt. The spokes were just a little bit loose on the front. The muffler, the shields, they were a little bit loose as well. The skid plate underneath was a little bit loose. Those were about the only things. Whatever I did on one side of the bike, I checked on the other as well. So I feel like I feel comfortable now going out and doing another 2,000 miles on it, and nothing's going to fall off this bike. Thanks again for watching. We're going to come back with a video on putting some GV engine guards on this bike. Will be the next one, and so join me then. Stay tuned as well. We've got one more thing with Zoe coming up.
See all those tools?
Yeah.
When you get home, you have to put them away.
No!
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No!
What am I gonna do with all those tools?
Put them away by yourself.
Hey, will you at least tighten all the nuts and bolts on my bike for me?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Oh, they are not eating it around my life.